Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you all. This is your host, Amina Ahmed, and you're watching Muslim Network TV. Welcome back to Next Gen, where we speak about the issues that we are facing in our world today with other young people, young activists, young organizers, young people who are making some changes in the world that we live in. You're watching us on Galaxy 19 satellite, MuslimNetwork.tv, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, as well as YouTube and Facebook. Now, today on Next Gen, we will be speaking on the recent controversy regarding Disney's Mulan, as well as the larger issue of the genocide being committed against the Uyghur population. And in order to discuss this today, we have with us Kabir Qurban, who has finished his bachelor's in molecular biology and biochemistry, but to define him as a biologist would be far from the truth. He values teaching and enjoys it as well, and his endeavors include continuing activism for the Uyghur population, poetry writing, acting, and much more. Thank you so much, Kabir, for being with us here today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for organizing this. I'd like to first acknowledge the fact that I am on unceded territory. The indigenous people have never given up their land, and I'm lucky to be where I am in Vancouver, British Columbia, on the land of the Tsleil-Waututh, the Semiahmoo, and the Kwikwetlem people. I'd extend my greatest thanks to the team, and I'll give it back to you.
Yeah, it's an absolute honor to have you, and we're so excited to hear you speak your story and your truth. But bring it to Disney's Mulan, right? The recent controversy because of that. Tell us about that. Why were people so outraged? Why was there an outcry against that by so many?
As an individual who prays to go back home, who yearns to see the motherland, and who wishes to be with his family, I could not have been more offended, I would say, to have these actors go to the land, welcome to the land, and portray this freedom fighting individual. I have not seen the movie, but to portray a freedom fighting individual on a land which is not free, on a territory which has been stolen, and on a territory where a lot of atrocities are being taken place right now, it is just a slap to the face. It is rude. It is many things. None of them good. The fields where they filmed, the roads which they took to go where they had to go to film, those are the same roads I had to drive across when I was a child. Those were the same roads which I'd look upon the landscapes and just be in awe. East Turkestan has some of the nicest landscapes in the world. Right now, if you Google Xinjiang Rainbow Mountain, you would see, I don't like saying the X word, but for this, I'll allow it. But you'd see the landscapes are just out of this world. It's a heavenly place, and I believe because it's such a good place, they want to take it away from us. And just very offended that they went through with this, and the fact that in the credits they mentioned that it's the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. The Uyghurs have no autonomy, and the fact that they started it off by saying the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, it's a way for them to put themselves in front of us, to put the X word in front of whatever we may be. They want to eliminate us in all ways possible, and this is just a small example.
Yeah, I think many people might have thought it insensitive, but from what you say, it just seems completely wrong, right? Representing the population there as well. And we see what your initial reaction was, being offended, and I think that's very valid.
I would have no problem with the film being filmed anywhere, as for that matter, but to do it, to have a freedom fighting movie on a land where nobody is free, it's borderline comic. How could they do that?
And I think we're both glad that it's not doing as well as people thought it would. Do you think that that is the reason so many people are boycotting it and not actually going out to watch it?
it's very hard to say. I can't tell you what people do in the privacy of their own homes. There's so many things to boycott. But yet there's so many things that we do that we just don't think about it. The fact that we subscribe to Netflix, we were talking about this earlier, and how there's a new movie on there, and a lot of people have trouble boycotting something, like boycotting a whole service due to one movie or film. I'd say of the amount of people who claim to have boycotted the movie still pay their money to Disney. Disney does not care whether they made it for the streaming service, and the people who have subscribed will still subscribe. Majority of them, I'd say. I can't really say who will boycott it. I hope that people do, and when they do leave the website, when they ask them why they left, when they ask for the comment, why would you like to unsubscribe, which they always do, I want everybody to clearly state that, drop a paragraph. If you look at Aiden Anwar's latest post, she has a whole write-up ready to go. Just copy and paste it, put it on there and let them know that you are not happy.
And the fact that she has that up, it just shows how accessible it is and how easy it is for people to do something so small. But I think if so many of us do it, it'll actually cause them to probably reflect and perhaps not make that mistake in the future. But Kabir, I want to talk about the Uyghur situation and the current situation that they're undergoing, and bring it to that and just hand you over the mic. Tell us about that.
So to understand what's happening in East Turkestan is to understand many socio-economic aspects of what China wants. In the 1950s, I don't have my notes in front of me, so anything that I quote or date, it might be off. But in the mid 19th century or 20th century, China decided they needed more land, and with the help of the Soviet Communist Party, they were able to invade East Turkestan, and quote unquote, they allowed us to live. They allowed us to be. They gave us an autonomous region. They just said, you're under our rule. After many decades of just dispute and protests, China, I believe it was 1986 where the Hulja massacre happened, where it was like Tiananmen Square 2.0, but yet nobody knows. Where all the university students from Hulja, they went out to the streets and they wanted to do something, and then China said no. They came in and destroyed. Over time, probably with thinking of how they can do it, came 2017. Actually, came 2009 when the Urumqi protest happened and the riots occurred, because people weren't happy with the way they were living. People weren't happy with the fact that everything had to be Chinese, with the fact that no more Uyghur schools are around, that education for Uyghur culture is being cut. And in 2009, I was actually in Urumqi when that happened, and I was let's do the math real quick. I was 12 years old, and
I'm sure you remember it then.
Yeah, no, I remember. You see, as a person who didn't really think of, as a child who didn't know of any of the atrocities, I remember calling back to Canada and talking to my dad excitedly, telling him that, hey, Dad, today I witnessed a tank. I saw a tank. It was so exciting. And, my mom smacked me on the back of the head. She's like, don't scare your dad like that.
Yeah.
And then time moved on, and come 2017, everybody got shut down. Everyone's family members, they were told to not contact anyone outside of Canada. One of my sister's very close friends, she came to Canada to study. She got her PhD, and they got a message. She got a message from her parents saying, "Hey, because of what you have done, you're now wanted." Because she was an anthropology student who tried to preserve the Uyghur culture. She is now wanted. And they said, if you ever contact us again, they will take us in, because we have been arrested for 4 weeks and you didn't know. And I'm just calling you now that if you ever contact us again, it'll be the end of us. So I just want you to have a good life. And I pray for you to have a good life. And I pray that you pray for me to have a good life. And that was goodbye. And she hasn't spoken to her parents since, you know. She's as an adult who got married and started having kids, she wasn't able to share that moment with her parents. She wasn't able to ask for her parents' blessing on the man she married. And this happens everywhere. This happens all across the world. There are individuals who have no longer who can no longer contact the people back home. Individuals such as my mother, who lost her brother's family, who lost her entire aunt's family, we lost an entire side of the family, you could imagine, to this. We just one day, all of a sudden, they're not picking up our calls. And that's the end of that. How can we ever contact these people again? I would have to literally voyage on down there, and with whatever photographs I could find, and ask everyone. That's literally the only way I could think of it. Me amongst countless individuals. Uh, Another story of what happened to me personally is my own cousin was detained in 2017 for watching an Islamic video. He was sent to a camp and he was released in December of 2019. I found out that he got arrested in June of 2020 only because a message got leaked from someone to someone else saying that they released him, and now they don't want to send him to a camp anymore. They want to arrest him and send him to jail. And jail is much, much worse than the camps, because now they have a reason to torment you because you have gone against the country. It's not that you need re-education anymore. It's that they've given up on re-educating you. It's that they know that you won't be willing to shift, and you won't be willing to budge from your culture and religion. On a grand scheme of things, I am a Muslim and I pray that they never give up. But as a human and an individual who cares a lot for his family and for his loved ones, I sometimes wish that they would just eat their words and, you know, practice in secrecy. These are common dilemmas that Uyghur people around the world go through. I don't really want to go into the details of what gruesome acts can occur inside of these camps, because I believe it will desensitize the masses. Everyone can imagine what would happen behind closed doors, because anything that we do know is not the complete truth. There must be worse things going on, and it does us no good to focus on the negatives. As I remember, if in 2015, if someone shared a photo on Instagram of a child, you know, a bleeding child due to a bomb blast, everybody would share it and everybody would go into turmoil. But nowadays, the mass has been desensitized, where it's no longer a question of what is happening, but where it's happening, because everyone knows that it's happening. And they'll be like, oh, you know, today it's Yemen. Oh, tomorrow it's Palestine. Oh, today is Rohingya. Oh, tomorrow is this. And people get so stressed out and desensitized that they don't do anything. And I remember having a deep conversation with my father about this, and he said something that really struck with me. He said in Farsi, he said, "Qatra qatra darya mein shah," which literally translates to drip by drip, the river will flow. And I believe that's what we can do, is drip by drip, make the river flow.
I think that there isn't really much to be said. Just the stories that you describe and the fact that these are the realities of so many people is completely heartbreaking. But I hope we can talk a little bit right after our short break on what is to be done. Like you said, there's so much work to be done and so many people who are silent. We'll be right back after our short break. Welcome back to Next Gen. I'm here with Kabir Qurban, who is describing the situation of the Uyghur population. Kabir, I want to ask you, why has China been able to get away with so much of what it's doing? You described, at a very personal level, what your family has been going through. These are people that you know. Why has China been able to actually continue with these actions?
Yeah, wow. That's a very good question. Uh, one one of the main reasons is because the world allows it. We cannot say that it's just one super villain and everybody is weak. The world allows it. I have allowed it. As an individual who really cares about it, I have allowed it to happen. But one of the a socio-economic reason to why this is happening is the One Belt One Road initiative. When China is basically trying to take over the entire world and putting countries in debt, such as Pakistan. So the leader of Pakistan right now, Imran Khan, he speaks up against oppression, always saying that he's on the side of Palestine, always saying that he condemns Israel for their actions, very, very openly condemning India for the things they have done in Kashmir, for all the atrocities that they're committing. He openly always says it. But because of the socio-economic ties that have been signed by the previous president with China, Imran Khan, I have faith, is a good man, but he literally cannot say anything because the country is in debt, because the country has allowed China to come in and create these vast infrastructures. Anytime a country speaks out, you can see that in their stocks, the country does bad. Their currency goes down. A prime example is Turkey. Turkey won. They spoke up against it, and the lira used to be 1-to-1. Now it's 4-to-1 to the dollar. They have a lot of support. China has a lot of support from the Organization of Islamic Countries, or the OIC. They have a lot of support there because these dictators who are running these Muslim countries, they do not follow an Islamic compass. They do not share the same values as you and I would, and they are the people who make the decisions and the policies. Another great reason to why China can't do anything, I mean, the Uyghur people in China can't do anything and speak up and let people know, is because the only platforms that are available in China are monitored by the Chinese government. There is no Facebook. There is no Instagram. The only thing they have is WeChat and now TikTok, which luckily we know, on TikTok, some people spoke up, and even from across the world, they got banned and they got silenced. Prime example is
I know
yeah. There's a lot of good examples. China is very well placed in society, like economically, that they have this power, and anytime countries say that they want to come and visit, China is already 5 steps ahead. We have to understand that China is not thinking in the 1 or 2 year span. They have said that their plans are 50 years in projection, where they, in my opinion, are willing to accept the genocide. And I don't say that lightly, that there is a genocide occurring. And I believe that in the future, China will accept that they have committed a genocide. But that does us no good. Just like the indigenous people in Canada have undergone years and years of systematic racism, how the black people have gone through years and years of systematic racism. I don't want that to be the case for my people. I don't want to be a chapter in a history book. I rather not. I rather have my people be happy and free. I rather not make an example of my people. But what do I know?
Well, I mean, I think that just from you talking, we know that you do know, and there is work being done. And I want to focus a little bit onto that. The work that's being done by the diaspora population, people like you, and we spoke about Aid and Anwar as well. Tell us about that, and what are you guys doing in order to raise awareness as well as cause actual change?
So one thing to understand what change is we need to understand what we really want. What do the people of East Turkestan want? When people speak of change, they just think that as long as we close these camps, we're happy. No, 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 no. The reason the camps are there is because we weren't even happy to begin with. We want to condemn the People's Republic of China for the arbitrary detentions and the human right abuses which occur in East Turkestan. We want to protect the lives of Uyghur people who are currently being held in these concentration camps. We want to close all the camps. We want to allow the members of the international community to be able to go in and allow and assist us and allow people to come in. We want to allow Uyghur people to be able to go in and out, being able to go back home without question, without persecution, and without further security checks. And we want international leaders to use the global Magnitsky Acts against the Chinese people. So these are things that we want. How do we go about this? When it comes to dealing with a superpower, a political superpower, that is, we have to realize that as individuals, our capacity is very small. But luckily enough, there are a lot of people that are willing to help, and we just have to work cumulatively. We need to, first of all, raise awareness about China's occupation. And one way of doing this is anytime, and I really do mean anytime, you get a chance to speak about it, go ahead. At the end of a Zoom call, when your teacher says, any last questions, ask them, what is going on with the Uyghur people? You think this is a joke? I do this all the time. Every single on Zoom I get, I say, you know what, good news today, H&M said they're not going to be using Xinjiang cotton anymore. That's some good news. That's some change that's actually being happening. And this is because of great people. One other way we can get people to help is we need to mobilize and organize protests within communities. Actually, the word protest is it has bad connotations, but a word similar, like a rally, where people just go up and they speak in the middle of downtown, letting people know of the issues. We need to get individuals in every city to organize and bring the Uyghur people together, so that if China really wants to kill our culture, that we as diaspora, we have to stand together and keep that culture. We have to connect every single Uyghur people around the world, and that is actually what is happening. A lot of the Uyghur youth around the world are very well connected. I'd say through two people, we are all connected. Another thing that we can do is to contact your local government. Very easy. Luckily for me, I'm in Canada. You are in America. I'm guessing that majority of our viewers are going to be in the Western world. It is very easy for us, considerably, to go to our elected officials, look them in the face, or more professionally, write them something and let them know that, hey, I want you to speak up. I want you to say something in the House of Commons, be it in the I don't know what the equivalent would be in America, but there are many things we can do. There are a lot of companies to boycott, such as Gap, Fila. I just have the list in front of me. Tommy Hilfiger, Zara, Polo, Ralph Lauren, Carter's, Skechers, Victoria's Secret, Adidas, The North Face, Puma, Nike, Calvin Klein. Sounds scary, I understand, but there are alternatives. You can find alternatives, and the first, I'd say, 3 months of me trying to find alternatives was tough. But after 3 months, I could promise you now that I stay away from buying made in China goods. I'd say out of the 100% of the products I've used, I've cut down 70, because unfortunately it is impossible to cut some things out. You know, like cheap knickknacks. Like you can't buy a fan that's not made in China. Unfortunately, you cannot buy a vacuum without spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars. But when it comes down to a shirt that you think would look good on you, I think majority of people can do without that shirt. You know, you don't have to buy Skechers. You can find other shoes. My favorite company of shoes right now is Tom's, because every shoe you buy, they give a pair of shoes to a kid in Africa.
Yeah.
There are so many good companies out there, and we just have to know which one is good and which one is bad. We don't want to sew our clothes with tears. There are a lot of people to follow if you want to help. There are a good organization is the Dharman Foundation, the Uyghur Project IG, Tarim Network, the Uyghur Collective, the Shukr Foundation. These are all organizations that are dedicated to supporting the Uyghur people, be it the diaspora refugees or the people within. There's a lot of amazing individuals who advocate for the Uyghur people. Aiden Anwar, amazing soul, God bless her. CJ Whirlman, he's a journalist. He's amazing at what he does. There was a French journalist. His name escapes me. There are many people. You just have to literally search it up. And I'm telling you, if you're open to helping, you will find ways to help. It seems scary, but when you sit down and you commit yourself to help, you know, Allah will make it easy on you, and He will give you the way. I promise you. I was crying, wondering what it is that I can do, you know. And there is things that I can do. And as soon as I was willing to help, the opportunities arose. So the first step to helping is willing to help.
Yeah, and I hope that our audience, the young people who've been listening to this and wondering what they can do, listen to what Kabir said and follow through with those steps, inshallah.
Message me
so
too.
For sure. Do that.
I am the most approachable person. You know, anybody can DM me. Anybody can. You find my email. It's kabirqurban@gmail.com. My Instagram is @JoeKabir. Anytime you have any questions on how you can help the Uyghur people, you know, least I could do is send you towards someone who's closer to you. I will make sure that you have something to leave with.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Kabir. And thank you to our audience for tuning in today. And we'll be back next week. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you all.
Assalamu alaikum.